look at these mushrooms. Huh?
Gorgeous mushrooms.
Thank
Here
you.
is your spore shaker.
Wow.
And thus we begin our segment of making Koji mushrooms.
That's right. Basically what we did to these gorgeous mushrooms is first we salted them down to remove as much moisture as we could. We salted them with about 3 or 4% of their weight with salt and drained them for 48 hours and got off out of this is probably about 3.5 pounds of mushrooms. We drained off a half gallon of liquid.
But they're not really dehydrated. They still have some moisture.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things you have to be very careful about. You don't want the inherent moisture to make it damp because the spores are not going to like that, right? So what we do when we're making mushrooms, or when we're making beans as well, is use a substrate such as this well-toasted, finely ground freekeh.
Freekeh is a grain. What kind of grain is it?
It's a green wheat, and we toasted this, so it's going to give it a very distinct flavor as well. We're going to use this 2 different ways, right?
Okay.
First, we're going to set this aside, and then you're going to dump that.
So this freekeh is really like a heritage wheat, and these have been used for generations, but they've kind of become rediscovered now.
Yes. You really want the freekeh to almost soak up all the moisture in these mushrooms, which is still considerable despite how long.
Yeah, they still have a little
Right.
stickiness.
Yeah. But that'll be okay. We just have to be really careful as we inoculate them. The same with beans. We'll probably have to change the cloth that we put on these several times.
Oh, okay, because that's going to continue
That's
to
right.
absorb
Yeah,
humidity.
that's right. They will
Okay.
continue to give off moisture. And that's really the secret if you're making this at home, is to just make sure that they're never above ever 40% humidity.
Okay.
Wherever you're doing.
Okay.
And also that these never are wet.
Right, you don't want them to be soggy because we know mushrooms just get rotten when they're
Yeah, that's
really-
right.
really wet.
They mold.
they,
right?
yeah, they are mold and
Imagine
they
that,
get
right?
moldier.
So, as we do this, right, we're also going to then add our spores.
Okay, so this is the Koji.
Right, so this is the spores, and I mix them in with some of the freekeh as well.
Does that help them just distribute more evenly?
Yeah.
Okay. Should I
Sure.
sprinkle?
Yes.
So this is the spore mixture with the freekeh. And we
All right.
mix it up again?
That's right, just really like mix it all up, and then
Use 2
we're
hands.
going to do our standard let's make Koji at home thing, where we're going to lay these out on a cloth that has some plastic wrap or some food safe, whatever.
Okay.
And then wrap them up and put them in our inoculator.
Okay, so it's the same technique that you use with the simple rice Koji
That's
that we
right.
made previously.
These are a little more difficult though because you have to be way more attentive to the moisture level.
Okay, so
I mean,
it's,
you don't want these to be sitting in their own wetness.
right, so a
basically.
mushroom won't behave like the steamed rice did, which
No.
just breaks down kind of
Right.
eagerly. These we have to pay attention to.
Yeah, and really it amounts to is, in this case, is changing the diaper
Okay.
on these. We're going to go
All
through
right.
a lot of cloths on these. Are like 5 or 6 changes, and each time you'll see that there's a little moisture on them.
This gets laid out and then plastic on top.
Yeah, if you had a lot of this, which I actually do, you could just continually change this cloth
Okay.
and not worry about the plastic. But the plastic will help you to gauge as you go along just how much moisture is in here.
Okay,
right?
so when it's
'Cause
very
when you
humid,
open this at
yeah.
like 12 hours, you'll be able to see if there's if it looks like muddy at all, right, because of the moisture, you'll know. Okay,
Right, the
you
plastic
need
will
to
be sticky.
get rid of some of this moisture, right?
So there's a lot of concern these days about plastic coming into contact with food.
Right. But
you-
this is not going to go above 85 degrees
Okay, so
Fahrenheit.
it's not going to get hot and melt the plastic like it might in a microwave or something
Yeah,
like that.
you're not microwaving it. You want to keep it low, at best around 85 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, so
Because
that's
that's
not too
the
hot.
range at which the enzymes you really want,
Mm-hmm.
like the proteases and the pectinases, things like that, are best.
They get
They come-
released.
yeah, they get
Okay, is
released
this enough? We don't
more
need
time.
another thickness
No,
of
that's
plastic?
fine.
Okay,
And
great.
what we can do is this, actually, we'll lay them down like this.
Okay.
Right? Try to keep them as close together as
To
you
get,
can,
oh,
though.
touching, okay.
And the really interesting thing about the mushrooms, when you do them like this, is that once they're finished,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually just take them out fresh. You don't have to dehydrate them or anything. And put them in a saute pan and cook them just like you would, say, a cutlet.
Ooh,
something. And they're
okay.
like, people,
Like a steak.
people think it's actually meat.
Wow.
Right? There's so
okay.
much umami. And these have such an interesting texture as well.
And these are the little baby bellas, and these are also larger, but they're still called
Yeah,
baby
these are all,
bellas, right?
portobello mushrooms,
Portobellos, okay. I think we
And then
got
you
'em.
can very easily
want me to
just
pour that
pick
out.
it,
Oh,
yeah, right,
sorry.
dump it all on top of it, right?
Okay. Okay, that smells great.
Right?
Right.
It also very smells great, right?
Yeah. You roll it up in the plastic first.
Yeah.
Okay. And
And voila.
little diaper,
Yeah.
as you say.
Right, and now what we're going to do is put them into our inoculator.
Okay, great.
Right?
So this is Ken's homemade inoculator, plastic tub, immersion circulator. So that's
Sous vide, yeah.
circulating a pot of water that's
Mm-hmm.
heating it up and causing humidity in there. Very simple. And then you've got your thermometer that's measuring the humidity and the temperature. All right. Okay. Ready for the chickpeas?
We are, yeah.